Now let's move on to women's goals once they're in the gym. Most women are going to have the same goal. They want to tone up and lose weight. Now, if we look at these two goals and break it down individually, weight management is accomplished by one thing, and that's calories in versus calories out. If you burn more calories than you consume, you lose weight. If you eat more calories than you expend, you gain weight. So that's a simple analogy. And what most people think is that you can burn more calories by working out longer instead of working out shorter, which is not true. Actually, you can burn more calories by working out shorter instead of longer. And it has something to do with what you call excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, which I will get to later. Now, muscle tone. A lot of women want to tone up, but they may not actually know what muscle tone is. Now, what muscle tone occurs when the muscle develops, and as the muscle develops, as the muscle becomes bigger, it burns the fat around the muscle. Now, when it burns the fat around the muscle becomes more visible, and it creates a little curvature. And that's actually what creates the muscle tone. It's an enhanced appearance of the muscle. Now, the problem when it comes to toning and losing weight is that most women try to accomplish this by lifting light weights and doing aerobic exercise for lasting from about 30-45 minutes. Now, the problem with that is that you can lose weight this way, true enough, but it won't do anything to change the shape of your body. So if you want to lose weight and you want to tone up, this will not be the way to go, because what's really going to happen is that you're going to lose weight, but you're still going to have the same shape. Your shape is not going to change at all. Now, on the flip side of this, if you lift heavier weights and you do higher intensity forms of cardio, such as interval training, then it will result in a higher amount of calories burned versus with the light weights, and it also produces a change of shape. Now, it will produce a change in the shape of your body because heavy weights will actually stress the muscular system enough to the point that the muscle will get broken down and it will have to rebuild itself. And once it rebuilds itself, it will burn the fat around the muscle, and it will create the muscle tone that most women desire. Not only that, but there's a big factor that's regulating these two, and that's called excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. And you can get a higher excess post-exercise oxygen consumption lifting heavy weights and doing higher intensity forms of cardio versus doing lower intensity forms of cardio and lifting light weights. Now, what excess post-exercise oxygen consumption is basically the period of time that your metabolism remains elevated following exercise. And the whole purpose of that is to replenish the body's energy stores and bring the body back to a resting state. Now, if you're only lifting light weights and you're doing non-strenuous activities, then the epoch is only going to last for a few minutes. Your body's going to go back to a resting condition, resting state in a few minutes. If you lift heavy weights and you do higher intensity forms of cardio, it could take the body hours to return back to a resting state. Now, that's important because your body's burning calories in order to return the body back to a resting state, which would lead to more calories out, more weight loss. Moving on, a few things about muscle and fat is that women actually become smaller by building muscle. Yeah, I know it sounds a little crazy, but once you actually goes back looking at the size of a muscle cell versus the size of a fat cell, a muscle cell is smaller than a fat cell. So, theoretically, if you take one person who's 140 pounds of pure muscle, and you compare them to a person who's 140 pounds of pure fat, they would weigh the same, but the person who's 140 pounds of pure muscle will actually look smaller than the person with 140 pounds of pure fat. And that's all because the size of a muscle cell is smaller than the size of a fat cell. Not only that, fat only burns in muscle. It's the only place in the body that fat can burn, in the muscle cell. So the more muscle you have, the more your fat burning potential. And the more your fat burning potential, the more muscle tone you can have, because the muscle will burn all the fat that's around it and create that muscle tone that women desire. Also, muscle requires more calories to maintain itself than fat. In a resting state, muscle can burn as much as 30 calories, while fat may only burn as much as 5 calories to maintain itself. So this is another way you burn more calories, and it will yield more weight loss. Moving on, I know we hear a lot about fat burner zone. You go to the gym, you get on the ellipticals, treadmills, or exercise bike, and there's a big sign that says fat burner zone. You have to exercise at this intensity. Well, I'm here to tell you that fat burner zone is no relevance to weight loss, and it's a complete waste of time if you believe in it. Now, without getting too complicated, there's a thing called the respiratory exchange ratio. And basically what that is just a spectrum. One end is complete fat burning, one end is complete carb burning. So the only time that we are burning 100% fat is at rest, where we're not doing anything. And that's obviously we don't burn too many calories at rest. Now, we burn the most amount of calories doing higher intensity of exercises, such as sprinting. That would be higher on the carb side of the respiratory exchange ratio. Now, I'm gonna give you a quick example of something I came across actually, but it was a good example to further explain this. I can be in the so-called fat burning zone and burn 30% of my total calories and burn 100 calories. So if I'm burning 30% of my fats and I only burn 100 calories, that equals 30 calories of fat that I burn. Now, if I do a higher intensity activity, I would burn a less percentage of fat and a more percentage of carbs. But my percentage of fat burning will go down to 20%. So I'm burning a less percentage of fat, but I burn more calories. So 20% of 200 calories will yield 40 calories of fat. So by burning more calories and burning a less percentage of fat calories, I actually burn more total fat calories. So it's a little tricky, but the more you look at it, the easier you come to understand it. Now, one more thing I want to explain is I just want to pinpoint a couple benefits of exercise that I feel would be beneficial towards women. Now, there are so many benefits to exercise and strength training. I can list them all day, but for purposes of the video, I just want to limit them to two I felt that were really important. Now, strength training, specifically lifting with heavy weights, especially when it comes to lower bodies, is you have an increase in bone density. And what an increase in bone density leads to a decreased risk of osteoporosis. Now, osteoporosis should be very important for women because 80% of women at some point in their life will either have osteoporosis or some form of low bone density. So lifting heavy weights will do much to offset this statistic. And not only that, but the more muscle you have leads to a higher organ reserve. And what I mean by organ reserve is basically a measure of how well our organs can function and fight illness. So people with larger amounts of muscle, they're not sick as much, they're healthier, and they actually lead longer lives. So these are just a few of the benefits here. If you're a woman and you're not including heavy weight training into your routine, I urge you to start today and start reaping some of these benefits. Now, that's all for today. If you want more videos like this, subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment, and I'll see you next time.